Alright, so I completely forgot to film getting the engine out of the car. As you can see, engine hoist, no engine, and the engine's right here. So I'm just gonna put this on my phone real quick. It was super easy to get out. There was beforehand I just took all the front drive accessories, so the alternator and everything, and the water pump, which is all now inside the car. Water pump, power steering pump, alternators down there too underneath. Crank pulley, distributor. Took all that off just that way it'd be theoretically a shorter engine from front to back, so that way I can get it out, because Chargers have, this big section right here, so it limits, the boom of the the boom on the engine hoist. It was hitting up against the grill before the hydraulic cylinder on the engine hoist was hitting up against the grill before the boom that extends out was reaching the intake. So I just wanted everything to be as short as possible. And it came out easy. There was only one motor mount bolt holding it in. That side over there didn't even have a bolt in it. And this side only had one, which is fine because the car was just sitting there for years, so I didn't need it. And went ahead, once I got it off, pulled the exhaust manifolds off just because I wasn't able to get to the spark plug holes, because I knew at least one cylinder was seized up. And as you can see, this would focus. It's not going. Yeah, there we go. So it's all rusty because some type of water or moisture's been getting down in there, whether it be from an open intake valve, which is the only way, because there was nothing covering the carburetor the whole time it was sitting. And as y'all can see, I got the carburetor off. There's the exhaust manifolds. And then once I got all that off, I went ahead, took the spark plugs out, and then I just took some ATF, just some regular automatic transmission fluid, and I put the that gear oil bottle cap, so the cap that's on top of that gear oil, I put it on the ATF bottle and just squirted some ATF down each cylinder. You can see where it's been running out, and you can see where it ran all over the floor. And then I just pulled the intake manifold off, about to take the valley cover off right now. See if I can't do this one-handed. So valley cover off, the inside of the engine so far, let me put this over here, doesn't look bad at all. It's not nearly as rusted on the inside as I thought it was going to be. The cam looks good. Everything looks decent. I'm not mad at that. Flat tappet cam, flat tappet lifters. So I guess next, probably gonna pull valve covers off, pull the rocker arm assemblies off, because I got new roller rockers sitting in the house, which I'm not going to use these heads anyways. I don't know what heads these are, but oh, and I did confirm. So as y'all can see right there, GO 440 means 1971 is what the G stands for, because that's so like H would have been 1972, F would have been 1970. It's just kind of like that. 440 for 440. And then for the casting number is 2536438, and that is for 440 blocks made from 66 to 72, and this is a 71. So pretty neat block, to be honest. And the engine bay on the car is spectacular. Like there's no rust on the inner fenders. There's no rust on the torsion support. So Chargers don't have coil springs up front. They run off of torsion bars, right? Which is commonly found on like some pickups, I guess, would be the most common thing that I could think of. And usually where Chargers rust, they'll rust at the torsion supports where the torsion bar runs and connects back there. I'm just see if I can get this little. Yeah, so where that torsion bar runs to, that's where they commonly rust at. So there, the rear frame rails, that's like the major components that rust, besides like quarters and everything. And this car is perfect, and there's no patchwork. So all the metal that's underneath there, the torsion supports, there's no patches on them, which means that they're original. So, nobody's went in there and did a hack job on it, so I don't have to worry about it. And this is about as far as off, or as far down as I'm going to take all this. And then one day I'm just going to get out here with a water hose and maybe a scrub brush and like some Purple Power or something, or some Simple Clean, and clean all this up. And then, see, now there's no engine in it. I mean, I might as well. I'd kick myself in the future if I didn't, so I might as well sand everything down and then chargers from the factory, no matter the color of the car. I'm like 99% sure. Somebody's going to tear me up in the comments. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to say it was all flat black. But then I don't know why there would be burnt orange showing through. So maybe I'm wrong. I'm probably wrong. But I'm going to paint it flat black just because this car's never going to be burnt orange again. At least not while I have it, and I never plan on selling it. So car's never going to be burnt orange again, safe to say. So just going to make this quick video on my phone. And guess I might as well. Let me go ahead and pull this distributor gear out. Everything looks fine. The wear pattern on the teeth look fine. All signs are pointing to that this car was parked just to get restored and rust issues. Because somebody replaced the quarter skin, so it definitely had rust issues in the past, but definitely wasn't parked because the engine was blown. The engine looks really good on the inside, which I am not mad about. But, alright, that's it for right now. I'm going to bring y'all back. Alright, we're back. Got the valve covers off, pulled the rocker arm assemblies. So, on a big block Mopar, they are shaft mounted. They're all in one, as you can see. And they're just held on with keepers and bolts. And I think some of them have springs, depending on aftermarket. And the push rods, they look good. As far as I can tell, none of them are bent. And then I pulled this one lifter, and it was, so the face of the lifter, as you can see there, is perfect. No, it looks almost brand new, to be honest. But there was a rust on it. There was a surface rust, just because you can see there's some rust on the cam right down in there. You can feel it, and I just wiped it off. So, but as you can see, everything is way better than I thought they was gonna be. But lifters aren't egg-shaped. See, I pulled this push rod out earlier. Everything looks pretty decent. If I had to guess, I would say that somebody rebuilt this motor once upon a time, which is not a hard statement because the motor is 50 years old, so it's pretty safe to say. And because I think most big block Mopar push rods are a cup and ball assembly, so one end of the push rod will be cupped, and then the other end will be have like this little ball on it. And I think the cup part usually goes towards the rocker arm, and then the rocker arm will have like a ball coming out of it instead of like that, a little cup. So it'll have like a ball. So like the other end of the push rod will be on there, and then the push rod will have the cup. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but pretty sure that's what it was. Yeah, somebody had an oil pressure gauge mounted up. But I think that's about as far as I'm gonna take it today. I'm not going to worry about pulling the heads just because each cylinder is full of automatic transmission fluid right now to hopefully unstick the cylinders. So I'm going to leave that in there so that way it can do work. And I'm going to get all this a little bit organized, throw the engine hoist back behind the charger over there in that corner after I put the legs up, and probably run the number on these heads just because I'm going to show y'all, so that way if anybody was curious, they can run the numbers too. But I know the block's true, and I don't care about the heads because I'm not using them anyways, but somebody might want them one day to rebuild or something. So I guess what I'm going to do right now is just yank all the push rods out, throw them in the valve covers, and clean up, call it a night. But I'll bring y'all back tomorrow whenever I try to unstick the pistons whenever I turn the crank, because I tried it earlier with a breaker bar and it didn't do anything. So boom. All right, so next morning I've been letting the transmission fluid soak on top of the cylinders all night. I tried this morning whenever I woke up and it is broke free. So just throw the breaker bar on here, right? And before it wasn't even doing that. So, and you can see the, like that cam lobe moving. So broke free. Now I'm just gonna rock it back and forth, just so that way I can get full revolutions out of it. Because right now I'm only getting, you know, very little. But this more than I was getting before. Before it wasn't moving at all. So I'm gonna do that. Then probably gonna yank the heads off and actually look at the top of the cylinders after I get it moving. But first thing first, I'm gonna yank the rest of the spark plugs out and get some paper towels just in case it shoots any ATF out. And then I'm gonna yank the heads and pull lifters and everything. So actually, yeah, let's get to it. Alright, got the heads pulled off, and as you can see, my Sperry took some transmission fluid. Might be out of service now, but there's, so far you see this cylinder's got some rust in it, but I'm not feeling, there's no lip. So a lot of times what will happen on older engines or engines that have a lot of miles is they will form a lip at the top of let me see if I can get a good one here. At the top, yeah, you can see it there. Yeah, this one, yeah, actually this one does have a little bit of a lip. You can see where because the rings only come up so far, so you see this dark area and then that shiny area. So the rings are scraping here, but they're not coming up far enough to scrape the top. These do have slight, you could barely feel it. But this seems to be the worst piston, which this is the one that the rusty spark plug came out of. Yeah, you can see us all. Ugh. And sadly, my crank bolt loosened up because it hit a stop. So of course I was just turning the engine over by the crank bolt, so I was just tightening it because I didn't want the crank bolt to loosen. But then it hit a hard spot where the pistons got stuck because it's all rusted. And then I went to go turn it back the other way, counterclockwise, because that was the freeway, and then the crank bolt loosened. So now I'm just gonna, I don't want to put too much pressure on it and pull the threads out of the snout on the crank. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. But these are, somebody's been inside this engine before, because I don't think these are original pistons. Plus, they're Victor head gaskets, which I've never heard of before, but I know those aren't stock. Yeah, Victor 3464 VC. So, I guess now all I'm gonna do is drain the oil out of the oil pan, pull the filter off, and then probably take the motor mounts off, just get it to a bare block. So that way I can call up a local machine shop and see what they say. And I guess I'm gonna pull I don't have a crank puller, a crank pulley puller. I just got a regular 3-jaw puller, so I might try to hook a 3-jaw puller up, see if it'll work to pull the crank pulley off, take the timing chain cover off, and then if I get all that done, I might as well go ahead and yank the camshaft out, and so that way it'll be just a bare block to send to the machine shop, so that way they can assess the damage, because I really don't want to spend money on this thing more than I have to, of course, just like anybody else. I don't want to spend a crap ton of money. I wouldn't mind seeing the crank spin over some more, because I want to see how far these pistons come up to the deck surface. I hope that can't be all the way. Yeah, I know it's not all the way, because the rings themselves come up further than that, and the rings are down set into the piston. So yeah, this is what a 440 block taken apart looks like. And there you can see the 440. So I guess I'm gonna start tearing back into it. Alright, so as you can see, got the crankshaft pulled off, and basically all I did was I just took the 3-jaw puller, and then the crank snout only goes in so far. You see what I'm saying? The bolt hole for the crank snout is only so deep. So I was able just to put the center bolt on the 3-jaw puller as deep as I could in there, and then I just hooked up the jaws to the outside of the crank pulley, even though I know you're supposed to use an actual crank, or you're supposed to use a harmonic balancer puller for it, and it threads into, the actual puller threads into the holes where the crank pulley bolts up, and then it just pulls it off and presses in the center just like I did. But I don't have one of those. I didn't feel like running to the store because I'm all greasy and stuff, and I didn't want to clean up just to come back to get dirty again. So I'm just going, I just made it work. And yeah, so now timing cover, just simple bolts, and then I'm gonna pull the oil drain over here, or the oil pan, whatever you want to call it, and drain out all the oil on it. But bring you right back. It's so hard. I'm not reusing any of these bolts anyways, just because in the parts that came with the car, like I showed y'all in the previous video, there was that whole container full of ARP bolts. So it just seems like the best thing to use, seeing how it had all these bolts in there. No need to reuse all these old ones. Come on. Feel like I'm working freaking NASCAR pit crew. Alright. I got that off. So hopefully, yeah, I knew that was gonna be too simple. Just use a screwdriver, and I mean, if you're reusing the timing cover, then obviously you don't want to bend it up too bad. And even though I'm not going to reuse this timing cover, I still don't want to bend it up too bad. Just because, dang, I actually might have to put the phone down for this a minute. Oh, nope, there we go. Alright. Oh, I forgot it has the the oil pan bolts come up through it. All right, hold on a second. Got those 2 bolts pulled out, so now it should kind of just pull off. Alright. So there's a tremendous amount of slop. Ugh. That is not good. Just means it's an old timing chain. I mean, there's so much slop that even with the crank pulley pushed up all the way in its place, there's so much slop that it's moving around. The camshaft is actually moving independent from the crank, which means that under load, whenever you get on it or whenever you give it gas, this camshaft is gonna advance and retard, what, 2 degrees or so? So just a side effect of a worn out camshaft, or a worn out timing chain. But that's it's no problem, I guess. I wasn't gonna reuse it anyways. I got a brand new timing chain in there, and got a brand new timing chain in there, so that's gonna be no big deal. But now I'm just going to pull this off here real quick, and I think it's the right size. Yeah, it's the right size. All right, we're back. Now this should just kind of, let me see if I can't just tap on it a little bit. I think it's loosened up now. So now, nope. Oh, there we go. Oh, it's actually stuck to the camshaft still. All right, guys. Well, that's gonna take 2 hands. So, all right. So I had to put y'all down for that just because. Whenever you're pulling a camshaft out, whenever it's in the very beginning, of course, the back end is less supported, because as soon as you pull it out, that very last cam load, or the very last, I guess you kind of call it like a main on the camshaft, falls out of the cam bearing, so there's no support. So, and you can't really like twist it because the camshaft is still really deep in there, so you can't get leverage on the front to lift it up, so you need 2 hands to kind of pick up on it, right? But after that now, it's just pretty much just sliding it out, and you just got to watch. So if I cared about this engine right now, I'd be taking more careful not to be banging these mains. I don't even know what they're called. I'm assuming they're called like camshaft mains. So pretty much in the engine, on that one, and that one, there's bearings inside the engine. That's what supports the camshaft, right? And then of course it's supported up front up here. So there's bearings that go in there, as you can see. There's a bearing there with an oil hole. There's a bearing right down in there with an oil hole, and so on and so on. It just supports the camshaft, and it provides oiling for the camshaft right there in those spots. And you wouldn't want to bang those up as you're coming out if you're going to reuse them. But with this engine having water in it, as you can see on the camshaft, there's rust. It needs new bearings automatically anyways, and bearings are cheap. The only thing about cam bearings, they had to be pressed in. There's a special tool, which I might do, or I might just have the machine shop do, just depending on how much they charge. If it's cheap, they're already gonna have the block, they might as well do that too. But if they want, $100 just to press in some cam bearings, I'll buy the tool for cheaper than that, and I'll do it myself, and then I can be able to do it any and every time I ever have to do it again. So I started this video, I didn't even record this part because I didn't think it'd be anything interesting. But as soon as I took the oil plug out, a whole crap ton of water just started pouring out. And I always find that interesting, just how much water is in here. And y'all, you can see the amount of water that's already all over the ground, and you can see it's already in there. Whenever I take my finger off of here, sadly the plug went in there too, but whenever I take my finger off, you're about to see. Look at that. Ugh. is water. There might not be any oil in this engine at all. I don't even think I want to flip the engine upside down with the oil pan still on. Let me get a screwdriver. I feel like that might be... Ugh. That is just disgusting to even look at. See, there's still water in there. Ugh. So yeah, so I guess I'm gonna take the oil pan off while it's still right side up, so that way I'm not getting all that just absolutely everywhere. Alright guys, so as you can see, got the oil pan off, and I spent like freaking 20 minutes cleaning up afterwards, because as soon as I got the oil pan off, it broke free because it's stuck on there because it's been sitting for years. And the dang thing slipped out of my hand, and all the oil and water and just gunk mixed. It was the nastiest fucking thing in the world. Just went everywhere. So I just spent like 20 minutes cleaning all that up. Used like 2 towels, all my shop rags, and then I finally remember I had an old comforter. And I was like, oh crap, I'll just use that. So got the old comforter down. As you can see, this crank with the cranking rods, and there's the casting number and I guess the date code. So it would be July 14th of 1970, which would make it a 71 block. That's why it's stamped 71 on the front, because it's built in 70. But I don't think personally I'm gonna take it any further apart. I might take the oil pickup tube out, but other than that, it's just gonna go to the machine shop, and then the machine shop, they can decide what they want to do with it. And I would like to reuse this crank just because, you know, I want to save as much money as possible. So reuse crank rods, pistons with all new bearings. But you know, I guess that's up for them to decide and for me to pay. So I guess that's pretty much all I got left to do, is just take the oil pickup off and then start calling local machine shops, seeing if they would do it, and how much they would charge roughly to take everything else apart and see what all I got and what all was there, and then check the block for cracks. Maybe I might be cheap and not do that. But this is what the inside of a 1971 440 block that's been sitting for 3 to 5 years looks like. Has a crap ton of water in it. And guess that's gonna be about all. So I will catch y'all next time.